Alexis, you're the digital program director for the Beasley Media Group in Charlotte.
I am.
And you got into business at 21 years old. How did you make that happen? Right out of school, right?
Right out of school. So to be honest, it was just a lot of hard work and determination. I always wanted to have a job in the media industry. So beforehand, I actually started to apply for jobs in November of 2014. I wasn't graduating till May of 2015. So I started applying. I actually found the position for Beasley that I entry level went to. It was the National Sales Assistant and the NTR Assistant, which is the non-traditional revenue. So I applied to it. I went in for my interview. I just made sure I was poised. I talked about how I loved marketing. I had actually interned during my senior year with Time Warner Cable, Channel 14. So I had that, journalism and everything. So, I kind of just presented myself in confidence, and I got hired. And I started 2 weeks after graduating.
That's terrific. You said hard work and determination. Define hard work and determination. What did you actually do?
So, one of the things that I really love telling people this because I believe in it so much. I branded myself, and I still to this day brand myself. I, always wanted a job, like I said, in media. So I made sure I had a website. I made sure that my LinkedIn was up to date and had some of my work on it. I minored in film. I minored in journalism. My work was up on my website. My work was up on my, LinkedIn. I made sure that I sent a reel to Beasley, even though that wasn't really associated with my position. I wanted to show them I was versatile, and I have this hard work that I've put into this internship that I had, other internships that I had, the work that I did with the school. I was actually the marketing president for my senior class. So, you always have to have your finger in a lot of, I think, cookie jars. And that's, to me, like the hard work that I put in all of those, showed to Beasley.
So when you got that entry-level position, did you think you would be in the position you're in now? How did that happen?
So, yeah, that's a question I get asked a lot. I didn't. When I applied for the position, I didn't really know what it was, to be honest. I didn't know what NTR meant.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that too.
A lot of people don't, and I really had no idea what NTR meant. And then I found out it meant non-traditional revenue, events, marketing, and I was like, oh, that's right up my alley. So, I started in that. I always wanted a position where I could write, and with that marketing position, I got to do scripts, and I got to do different, they call them, just copy for events that we were having, whether it was print or, online. Right. So with that being said, I got to learn, how to work WordPress. I got to be able to go to the events and, execute social media, Instagram posts and things like that, even though it was fairly new. So, I found out that I loved those things, and I loved, being able to, use my creative, part of my job, but also be able to use the journalism of my part of my job, and be able to still work in the media, even though it is marketing. So long story short, I just kept my eye out, right? And I did what my boss said, and always, if I had the opportunity to learn your job, I learned it. And if I had the opportunity to shadow somebody else, or just free time was not free time, it was time to learn other things, right? Or to teach myself. YouTube's amazing, Google's amazing, you can learn so much from them. But anyway, so I just kind of kept myself in the mindset of always learning. So with that being said, an opportunity arose at Beasley for a marketing position. I applied, I got it. Then the opportunity arose a year later for this position. So I applied, and I showed them that I could do everything, and I got it. So
you must have been impressing some people.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Digital is a very broad term these days.
Yeah.
So how is digital program director defined in your position?
Okay, so digital programming director handles all of the digital content that goes out on for Charlotte, 6 stations, and we also handle what the on-air talent puts on as their digital footprint, as I like to call it. That includes Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and then blog writing and articles. So everything coincides with, not only what we're putting out as a local, so local talent, but also what we're putting out on a national footprint as well. So there are articles, we'll write about, maybe something happened to an artist that was new, so, there are days when I write about that, right? Or a breaking story if somebody passed away, somebody prominent in the entertainment industry. It's also then monitoring, what goes online, like I said, with talent, right? So, certain talent, they're a brand in themselves. So if, a certain talent I have loves horses, right? Well, let's have you put out some content with horses, right? Or let's have you, if your morning show videotaped you trying something silly, right? Well, let's take that video, let's put it in a blog, right? Let's share it again. It's doing different things like that, and it's a lot of multitasking. It's a lot of, trial and error, and it's a lot of following rules too, because, we're a media group and there are laws that we have to follow.
Right.
So, and then it also comes to managing. So I work closely with the videographer that I have, the multimedia designer, so graphic design, and then our intern program.
Well, that you mentioned videographer. That's interesting in itself, because just a few years ago, radio stations didn't hire videographers, but now you hire videographers and you work with them, right?
Yeah. So radio is not just on air, and that's something that we're trying to, to show people, right? Like personalities are, they leave on air. They leave their show, right? But they're still doing other things, and people love to follow them. It's like following your favorite food brand or clothing or something, right? And that's what digital is able to do. And it's great because, digital, it can be live. You can live stream on Instagram, right? Or, you'll see your favorite radio host out at a client and they're Facebook living. And, that's stuff that I handle and make sure it executes well. And, it's very awesome because I'm a part of radio and I get to work with music every day, but I also get to work with listeners every day too. I mean, it's great, slide in the DMs or do the inbox, right? Like those are ways for listeners to connect when they can't get through to a line, or, maybe they just, there's so many different ways now and so many different platforms that radio can showcase itself, right? Like, so we're not on air anymore. We're all over.
It's an exciting time to be in the business.
It is. It's really interesting. I mean, honestly, when I got out of school, and I got this job, I just thought radio, right? I just thought on air. It was completely untrue, right? It's a whole marketing, department, digital department itself. So
yes, it's a business, and the difference is it's a fun business.
Yeah, it's so much fun all the time.
And a lot of the things you can do in other industries, you can do in this industry. So why not do it in the business that's fun, right?
Yeah.
All right, let me ask a final question for you.
Okay.
You talked to a lot of students in there, and they just almost overwhelmed you at the end, coming out and talk to you one-on-one. And so some of them may have asked you already, but some didn't. But a lot of people have this question in mind. So I'll ask you for them. If somebody, like students in that room today, and they're here because they want to be in the business, wanted to get in and do what you do, what advice would you give them on just how to get their foot in the door and get started?
So that was a question that a lot of them asked. And I tell everyone, again, I'm not going to lie, I didn't know what NTR meant. I didn't know what a national assistant was, right? But it was an opportunity to get myself into the door of a company that had such a big name and is so prominent in the radio industry. So I was offered that, and I took it. And I think that if you ever see any opportunity to any position, maybe traffic continuity, it might not be your end goal right now, but it's a way to make those connections and, meet new people and, maybe after your shift's done, go to the board. I was telling one of the students that I actually, in college, I worked at the bottom in the basement radio station. So I do know how to work a board. I do know how to do a board op, and I've done spots before. And it's so funny because when there was a position open for a midday for on air, I was actually asked if I wanted to track it. But I was so busy I couldn't, right? And just imagine though, you were presented that opportunity and you wanted to be on air. There you go.
Right.
So I think just apply, be confident. Make sure that, again, you brand yourself, right? You don't want anyone to see anything that, you wouldn't want to be associated with. And then, go from there. Opportunities will come. If you give hard work and you actually care and, you're persistent, they'll come. They really will. I believe in the whole karma and working hard. So
Well, we're glad you came here today.
Thank you.
Alexis, it's great to
Yeah,
have
thank
you.
you for
Thank you
having
for being
me.
here.